Hello, everyone out there. Feels like quite a while since we've been fully live on a Wednesday night, but here we are for what promises to be the finale of Into the Odd. I nearly said Simbroom there. Not Simbroom, but Simbroom should be back shortly. Perhaps next week, maybe the week after, maybe next year, maybe never. Who knows in this economy? So, welcome back. I'd like to say that lots of stuff has happened in the interim, but realistically, all I mean is it's been really hot here in the interim. Hence, you getting a view of my lovely shoulders and chest hair. So, enjoy that. That's an extra treat, usually just for our patrons, that one. But here we are. Wednesdays, we return. So let's get that lovely promo out of the way before we start up on recaps. If you check the links below, you'll find links to Twitch and to YouTube. You're watching on one, please do check out the other. You'll find links to our Patreon, our Discord, our social media. If those are the kind of things that interest you, then please have a look at them. Maybe they will intrigue you enough to engage with them in some horrific fashion. We currently run 3 weekly series, he said, having to think about it. Mondays is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, which Sam is running. Wednesdays is, of course, Into the Odd, but we are likely about to wrap this up and we'll be returning to Simbroom soon, as I said. And at the moment, and for the final arc, we have Cincinnati Chronicles, which is our World of Darkness anthology series that has been running on Thursdays, but for the final arc, Changeling the Dreaming, it will be running on Tuesdays. So this coming Tuesday, we'll kick that off. All sorts of stuff. So we might have 2 series kicking off essentially on next week, Changeling the Dreaming and Simbroom. How exciting. We also run one-shots monthly, the last one of which was something Absurdia that Pierre ran not so long ago. That's starting to appear on our YouTube now. And the next one, we haven't got a date for it yet, but it will be sometime in September sometime in August rather. And I will be running Night of the Hogmen, which is a wonderful little one-shot tale. I believe it's going to form part of the overall system called Teeth, which is coming out at some undetermined point in the future. But Night of the Hogmen is kind of like a standalone thing. Tune in for that. That will be wonderful and gross and horrible. So there we go. Let's start bringing on our players for Into the Odd, and they can recap us on what happened last time on the Into the Odd, which was 47 years ago. So, first off, it's Sam.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm very excited to be into the odding once again.
Absolutely. And Sam plays Tiva Oliphant, former miner turned explorer. There she is. Lovely. Yep. Lovely.
Very skilled explorer.
So where were you nosing around the Iron Coral in the last session, Sam?
I think we started just having gone down to a lower floor. I don't know what floor we're on now. Maybe
it's the third. It's like the third floor down.
Yeah.
You just made a new friend.
Yeah, we just met Manfred Dunbean, a bean shaped creature that kind of floats and follows us around, and who seems very friendly and has a family of also very friendly beans who stayed behind. We kind of continued on. Just, I don't think we really knew what we were looking for, but exploring this floor. Eventually, we got to a room full of, I think, kind of machine parts, and in there was a kind of weird box machine type thing that made a loud noise and summoned a creature we had only seen before in not a flashback, but sort of a little vignette of Helroth kind of struggling on this floor a little bit with a creature with pain wires that seemed very eager to wrap everyone he encounters in said pain wires. I think he did end up catching one of us, but we eventually got the better of him and didn't suffer too badly to the pain. Just a little bit of an unpleasant experience. And then we carried on to a room that had what seemed to be a mirror, but sort of showed a kind of hypothetical future of us exploring this very same Iron Corral, but I think for those who didn't look away, which I can't, was definitely Tiva and someone else.
I believe it was Tiva and Stephen's second character, Grabina.
Grabina, yes. It's Tiva and Grabina. Everyone else kind of looked at the mirror for a bit and then looked away, but Tiva and Grabina stayed looking at it just to see their own kind of horrible demise in this iron corral, and took a bit of a willpower hit for doing so. But
yeah, it never occurred to me, but there was a kind of character gender split there, wasn't there?
Yeah, I guess so.
So I guess women be looking into prophetic death mirrors. Am I right? So there we go. Let's bring on our next player, which is Chris. Chris plays Doran Creed, former butler turned explorer. Chris, what happened next?
Well, let me see now. We went further into the many-chambered coral, and we came across. We arrived into a very, very large and beautifully adorned room with gold doors. This room is incredibly long, and I spotted movement, kind of weird, shimmering, not quite understandable movement, which I bid a very good afternoon to. It didn't really respond, and as we moved forward to explore further, it ended up being a massive glass mantis bent on tasting our blood. Fortunately, thanks to someone else softening it up, I think it was Helroth actually softening it up. Oh no, it was Grabina actually.
It must have been Grabina because Helroth was absent at this point.
Softening it up with a nice gunshot wound to the face. I then followed up with an even nicer gunshot wound to the face and shattered it into bits.
Absolutely.
That was that. I think we then busied ourselves with the gold door, or did we go further? I can't remember. Can't remember the routing, but that's...
You went back to like the hallway that you came in through and tried another door, which led you to the first of this session's huge bound monstrosities.
Yeah, okay. The friend who we never truly befriended. It passed an iron door, was a chained grub of enormous proportions, who I was keen to release it and hopefully earn its assistance for future in future endeavors. No grub should be bound to the will of another. It was chained down by like these spiked chains that seemed just very, very cruel and were kind of securely locked into the floor. I was in the process of giving several kind of rousing calls to action to my cohorts to help when we discovered Mumford Dunbean was quaking in what is probably fear, and decided that one friend is better than no friends. So we would leave it be for the meanwhile.
Yeah, I think that was the general consensus. And on that, you went, I believe, back to the big hallway and tried a different exit than you hadn't before. And to lead us through the final events of last time, let's bring on Stephen. Stephen plays Helroth Terrene, or renews his playing of Helroth Terrene. Who had been missing for a few sessions. But Stephen, why don't you tell us what happened?
Yeah, missing after, lest we forget, diving down a foamy chute.
Face first.
Face first. The only way to dive down a foamy chute. Yeah, so the party found Helroth cowering in the corner of a room containing a sort of six-legged non-Euclidean monstrosity from beyond time and space. I think that's
fair.
The said monstrosity was actually quite, polite, and asked very nicely whether it could be allowed out of the iron coral and directed towards the nearest, largest population center.
Something you always want to hear.
Yeah, for reasons that we didn't really adequately explore.
Yeah, I'm sure they're fine.
Yeah, it's
A very innocent request.
yeah. So pointed us towards a control panel in a nearby room that apparently we would be able to use to. I'm not quite sure what the mechanism was going to be, but we essentially free ourselves from the iron coral and free this thing as well.
Absolutely.
As part of our joint plan to all of us traipse like a merry band back towards the nearest city. We decided on balance that we weren't quite sure whether we trusted this abomination. And so held off on the lever and went for a bit of a jaunt around other parts of the iron coral instead. We found a room that was very, I guess, well, for viewers in the UK, I got very kind of Crystal Maze vibes, mystery room. There was like a glass throne and a crown and some glass lion statues and gems of different colors and a rug with like weavings of the lions all color coded. And we couldn't work out any of it. So I stole the crown and we moved on. You're on mute, Matt.
Yeah. Let's be clear. As a group, you attempted one solution, and when nothing happened, you went, fuck it, and just took the crown and fucked off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, that's what I do. So
this is the caliber and motivations and techniques of this particular adventuring party. It's just how we do.
Absolutely.
So we moved on from there to another room that we'd seen previously in a vignette, which was featured a gigantic sort of gold face attached to one wall with a kind of howling void being sort of sucked into its mouth. And we discovered that it had a pretty neat trick, which is that if you throw something into its mouth, after some sort of gut-wrenching sounds and things, it would spit out two slightly worse copies of the thing that you put in.
Yep.
So I think we got a couple of half bricks and a couple of door handles, and we put in 2 half sets of silver cutlery, to produce 2 full sets of silver cutlery, which was very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, slightly worse silver cutlery, admittedly.
But full sets.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that is where we left it, because that seemed like such a spine-tingling cliffhanger. So, with that in mind, folks, apologies for anyone who, for all the big mic stands out there. Mike is not able to be with us tonight. You're in the room with the golden face on the wall, and you are handling that inferior cutlery with glee.
I just got that mic stands joke. I was like,
a joke.
Well, I thought you were talking about a microphone stand.
Oh no.
Okay.
I'm a mic stand. I'm badly missing him. But
yeah.
So I really want to go in the thing. Someone talk me out of it.
You want to go in the mouth?
Yeah, you get 2 of me.
2 slightly worse Darren Creeds.
Are you sure that's safe, Doran?
Of course it's not safe. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't do it. If only we had something we could experiment on that wasn't a friend.
I mean, how much do we like the bean?
Oh, you're not putting Mumford Dunby. You would risk our very mascot on science? You fool.
Well, I only just met it. Like,
Dunbean does look a little bit wary of Hellroth terrain at this point.
Don't worry.
Quivering
Dunbean.
Slightly and move, just microscopically gliding away from Hellroth.
We're not going to let anything happen to you, Mr. Dunbean. You're going to be safe with us.
I wish I'd brought Binky the horse down now.
Just push a
Yeah,
horse through the
about
thing.
2 horses.
Yeah.
To be fair, the book doesn't say exactly how big the hole is, I think, but I don't think it's big enough to push a horse through. Maybe if you took the horse apart first, but then there's limited point in getting 2 inferior copies back, isn't there?
Of half a horse. Yeah.
Yeah,
It works
slight-
better. It works much better with a cutlery set than with a horse.
It does, as true of so many things.
I can't think of a compelling reason why Doran Creed shouldn't throw himself in. Though. Like,
I don't know. In fairness, I have already been through one grueling output of experimentation in this cavern. I think one of you two should step forward for science.
no,
I don't think I'd like a copy of myself.
Or
One is enough.
no one goes in.
that's.
I mean, you didn't seem to be considering it as an option, but I just thought I'd put it out there.
No, I think it's a very viable option, Grabina.
Good idea.
I think you know what the old phrase says. Like, you know, you shouldn't meet your heroes, should you?
But you should always look a gift horse in the mouth, and that's what I'm proposing we do.
I don't think that's the phrase either, Doran. I think you should not look at the gift horse in the mouth.
It doesn't
Oh.
look like a horse.
You should always put a horse in the gift mouth.
Well, if we shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth, then I suppose we're finished here.
We don't have
Is there
anything else.
anything left that we haven't done? Is there anything else we want to duplicate while we have this? Oh no, I did the gold already, didn't I? I put the gold in last time. Let me check.
A doorknob.
my,
You put in a gold doorknob.
You put in a
Yeah.
doorknob and got 2 slightly inferior doorknobs out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got
And
7.
Don't forget that these occupy extra item slots as well, of course.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think doorknobs are bulky, are they?
Oh yeah, it's only bulky items that you. Yeah.
Yeah, I have lots of things, but aside from the cutlery, I don't think I have anything that I would like to have 2 slightly less good versions.
Sure.
Me neither.
Well,
Well then,
where are we missing? Where have we
Well-
not gone here before we have to go down the stairs then?
I can tell you this. Although also, Sam, you were mapping for us on this level, weren't you? So
Yes.
feel free to post that somewhere if you want me to copy it over. But I can also tell you exactly where you haven't gone on this level. And that is not far away from where you are now. There is a doorway leading out of the other side of the mirror room that you haven't gone through. And otherwise, it is just literally the door on the other side of the bound sleeping monstrosity that on the room that Helroth was trapped in. And there's a passageway on the other side of that room, but that's it for down here. And then also you could try going up past the fisheye men, but you know, it's up to you.
Okay, so if my mental map of this, then that would be like east past the mirror room, or west past the monstrosity.
That is exactly correct.
Or we go and pull that lever and see if there's an up.
Correct.
Well, if that place is close to us, then we should go to the door and see what's through that way.
Okay. Well, as I say, it's not far. It's just back through the room with glass lions, and then through that big ornate, the fancy hallway where the glass mantis was, and then onto the mirror room, and then onto another room, which I will describe. So there is from the room with the white mirror, with the silver frame, there is a stairway down to the west. There's no door in place of it, and you find yourself in a relatively, medium-sized chamber. The walls are all made of black tiles with an odd, soft, almost velvety texture to them. Around the room are 4 silver-framed beds. They look very comfortable. That's it. That's all that's in here.
I have put my excellent map into
Wonderful.
Discord.
I will bring it up so we can mock it mercilessly.
That's what it deserves,
I was
frankly.
going to say.
Aw. Okay.
Well, it's as if the dungeon itself read my mind.
So, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
We take a well-deserved rest.
That is not. No, I was thinking clearly a trap, but okay.
Let me tell you, Sam, this is remarkably accurate.
I can't believe that.
It is remarkably accurate, and you are right here now. The only thing I'd say is that in the book, this hall goes a lot further over to the left. But other than that, very accurate. You are here.
What architects do they they have in this world?
What is there anything worth looting here? I'll go and take a look at one of the beds.
I mean, it's a silver framed bed. That's it. Yeah.
Any
What
bed
are you
knobs?
suggesting? Like, sure. What do you want to see if you can knock a couple of silver bed knobs off them?
No, what I'm more interested in is there is there a big chest of gold under it or something, or under them?
No. There's nothing like that. You can look around. Usually in Into the Odd, because there's no role to search for things. Basically, I tell you, unless there's a possibility of a thing being in a thing and therefore hidden, I will tell you if there are things around.
So what are the odds on delightful rest, spite, or trap?
It's hard to say, really, isn't it? I've never been for a nap inside a giant coral before.
Well, we could post some watches, and some of us could get some rest, and then we could spend just some time refreshing ourselves before trying to figure out what to do about our unusually shaped friend.
Matt, how long does it feel like we've been in here?
In the Iron Coral?
In the Iron Coral.
4 hours.
Okay. And we arrived, I think it was the morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably.
So it's still daytime, probably.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, you're quite tired because, of everything that's happened.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of exploring, but no, I think I can. I think I could push on for a few more hours. I mean, there doesn't seem to be much else left to find. There's the door past the monstrosity, and there's the lever, and there was that door upstairs that we couldn't get through. But I don't really want to go upstairs anyway because of the fish people.
Doesn't seem like a safe place to sleep to me. I think there's lots of bad stuff down here.
We're sort of 3 floors under the sea inside a semi-living, possibly sentient, organic stroke architectural nightmare.
Mm-hmm. It's just rolling for a bit of a I wanted to see what your two essentially NPCs. Grabina is an NPC, right? And Mike's character, whose name I've been trying to remember since we started this session, begins with Y, doesn't it? Come on, someone must have a character list.
It rhymes vaguely with shack.
Shack.
Because
Yernak
from the shack.
Grabina and Yernak. I'm going to roll for whether their reactions and instincts on stuff are helpful to you or not. That roll produced nothing in particular. Yeah. Grabina certainly looks quite interested in having a bit of a sleep, but
look, and there's no other exits to this. This is the only room on this floor,
it's
is
the
it?
only exit. Yep.
Well, it's either the door past the scary thing, which means we'd have some questions to answer as to why we haven't freed it yet, and I don't want to come to blows with it.
Well, we're still treasure hunting, aren't we? One must
we haven't
prioritize.
We haven't found all that much treasure, it has to be said.
Well, I found lots. I've got chair legs. I've got a half brick. I've got 7 shillings. It's been a wonderful excursion.
I suppose I have enough gold doorknobs for both sides of a door, which I suppose is better than nothing.
Right?
Mm.
The front door of your house is going to look wonderful when you get home.
So are we skipping these beds then? This sounds like the conclusion we are drawing.
I think we're just too paranoid now to trust the beds.
Sure. Well, in that case, I get. Where are we going then? Are we going to get past the monstrosity to whatever lurks in the other part of this floor?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So as you do so, as you kind of walk up the stairs to the mirror room, you see that in the mirror room is another floating red bean. It seems to be mooching around the mirror room, not really knowing what to do with itself.
Good afternoon.
Kind of like slowly revolves and takes you all in and kind of like tilts itself slightly quizzically and makes a very, very soft squeaking noise.
Is this one of your family, Mumford Dunbean?
Dunbean kind of floats forward and goes nose to nose, as it were, with the other bean. And they seem to consider each other for a little bit. And Dunbean just kind of like floats slightly higher than the other one. And the other one goes and backs off a little bit. And then they just float kind of happily, kind of side by side with Dunbean just slightly above the other one.
We've got the alpha bean on our team.
Oh, well, I guess we have a new friend. Greetings. Blumfords? Numbean?
You could just call it Dunbean too. Blumford. There we go. So Dunbean and Blumford. Sure. It's my favourite music hall act. That was it. That was a random encounter. Nothing else. You can go about your day. Yep. Another bean.
It's good to meet you, Bean.
We'll have enough for a salad soon. Okay.
Don't alarm them.
Beanford. Beanford and Dunbean.
Beanford, Dunbean.
And Dunbean. Okay.
Doran, we're not going to eat Beanford and Dunbean. They're our friends. We're not putting them in the salad.
Now, you didn't assist me on freeing the grub friend, so...
At this stage, Dunbean and Beanford look increasingly happy with Tiva's company.
Well, shall we move on?
Let's.
Okay. So you make your way back to the chamber with the sleeping monstrosity. It is once again letting out a kind of like wheezing, gentle snoring as you enter the room. It's still quite hard to look at. And there is a doorway off to the west of the room.
I have just realized a slight issue with the plan, which is that we have to go past this thing. I do not like this thing.
You'll stick with us. You'll be fine.
Let's try to be sneaky.
Helroth's doing a big sort of exaggerated kind of cartoon tippy toes.
Imagine everything Hellroth does is an exaggerated cartoon version of what someone would do. Okay, if you're trying to sneak around the thing, that sounds like a dexterity roll for everyone, please.
Certainly does.
Dexterity is such a strong stat for the group.
I need a 9.
Everyone's just shaking their head. No, everyone fails.
Nope.
Yeah, basically, almost as soon as you enter the room, you realize you're just 5 people, like clomp, 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 walking around this thing. It gives a kind of like noise.
Be quiet.
Hello again, friends. Made any progress?
Good
on
afternoon.
setting us all free?
Just working on securing a expedient exit from the facility, and then we will carry on. This is our last door, in fact. If we cannot find anything useful past here, then the only way is up.
Very well. I can understand wanting to take full advantage of your environment. Please, don't be scared.
Okay, I'll go investigate the door.
Okay. The door easily opens onto a corridor leading to the west. Not a particularly long one. At the end of which is a door with alien symbols on it, similar to many of the other doors with alien symbols on it that you've seen.
I will stride up and, in my usual manner, give it a nice, polite knock.
There is no response.
After the appointed time, I will open the door and see what is through it, if I can.
Absolutely. On the other side is a room which Hellroth is familiar with. It is a room covered in the same kind of like white floor and walls and ceiling that most of this place is, that kind of like marble-ish thing. There is a door on each. Is that there is one door to the north with one door to the west and 2 doors to the east, each with alien symbols on. You have entered through the topmost door on the east wall. On the south wall are a set of white chairs made from some kind of soft leathery material, and in the ceiling far above is a open chute dripping slippery foam onto the floor. The room is otherwise empty.
Oh, this is where I came in.
Oh.
Just quite a long way down.
If only we could up as easily as we can down.
Upping is tricky, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because shoot, or how did you get down here?
Lots
Ladder.
of stairs. The canalways of Bastion. Trouble. Just it's been an odd afternoon.
Yeah. I just meant like we can go up the way that you came down, surely.
Yes,
There
the
was
small
some
issue
very-
of the greased ladder and the unkindly friends.
Very unfriendly.
Well, that's
But-
problematic.
I suppose there's nothing worth looting around here. He looks at the fairly empty-looking room, apart from the chairs, which he's not going to carry back.
Unless you want some white leathery chairs to bundle up on your back like one of the junk women in Labyrinth.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I suppose I will go and... Any suggestions for which door? Pick a door.
It's a bit hazy.
Well, based on what the places we rolled you to be, I believe we had you in here. We had you running around the bean pool being chased by the tormentor.
That's right.
And was that it? And was it that just then being found in the monstrosity room?
And the big golden face. Yes.
Yes.
I
Yes,
think
okay.
I think I said that I'd set off north from this room, but then we didn't really you didn't describe what was north of here.
No, that's true. That's true. But you did say north. So I will give you some very loose details about what lies north. And I will say that it was you found okay. Essentially you didn't find anything you found of over huge amounts of interest. Some metal kind of debris, a pit you didn't much like the look of, and a room with a load of sort of rotten food. But you were in a panic, so you didn't stick around to inspect them carefully. So that's not to say that there isn't more stuff to be found by a more enterprising and patient group. But nothing hugely dramatic.
Yeah. So north was some scrap metal, some rotten food, a nasty looking pit. Like there might be some better stuff there, but it was not very exciting on my first visit.
Did you consider putting the nasty looking food into the pit and seeing if that triggered a mechanism that opened the vaults to the armory or the gold store or the diamond sarcophagus? I don't know. I just need something.
I did not consider that. We could
Right,
go and
let's
have
go.
a look.
Okay. So we're retreading Helroth's path first. Okay.
Seems so.
In that case, going out from the north door in this hub room, are we knocking again, Christopher? Because you do tend to knock.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a protocol.
Unless
here.
someone wants to go ahead of me, I'll be bucklering. It's the only thing I know how to do.
No one's really shouting up that that's the thing they're doing. So, you open the doorway to a room which is sort of it's one of the first rooms you've reached, although you have seen other rooms like this around here, just not directly. You've seen them through a mirror. This room is much more metallic than marble, and a lot of the metal plating on the walls is sort of a bit rusty and a bit knackered. You enter a chamber that has a doorway to the west and the east. To the east, there is definitely a kind of rotten smell coming through. And to the west, the doorway looks like it's been partly blasted apart. On the north wall of the room you're in are a number of metal devices, odd constructs of things, the purpose of which isn't entirely clear, and which are connected to the wall by metal pipes. They look like things you can kind of like, maybe if you grab them and kind of like the actual device comes off the wall, but is attached to the wall by a metal pipe.
I'll go and grab one.
Yep.
Sure. It looks a bit. I mean, you won't know what this is. Your character won't. You do. It looks a little bit like like a petrol pump or a gas pump. For our American cousins. And it has like a little trigger. And you can move it around the room, but kind of no further because it's attached to the wall by this metal pipe.
I think I'll point it towards a corner of the room and press the trigger.
Okay, there is an immediate noise, and a sort of blue, laserish light arcs out from the front of it and starts crumpling and cutting through the metal plates on the wall. The device itself is kind of like vibrating quite hard, and you have to kind of hold it with both hands to make it somewhat steady.
I probably would not hold it down very long. I'd be quite shocked at this blue laser thing coming out. Well, we could have used one of these in the mines. This should have been great.
I think we may have found treasure and a way out.
Are you proposing we blast our way out?
I mean, maybe if the greasy ladder and the suspicious monstrosities lever don't seem like viable options, it's a possibility. I mean, there's more to explore
If
here.
only we
But
could convince. I wonder if only we could convince all our enemies to come to us slowly and in single file.
it's possible, I suppose. Yeah,
I'm going to go and check out one of the.
I was going to say the cutting power of these is limited to how far we can carry them, right?
Yeah, which is basically the room you're in.
I'm going to check some of the other devices. I assume they all do roughly the same thing.
They are all identical and seem to do exactly the same thing.
Wow. What a marvel.
I wonder what happens if you cross the streams. Let's find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Okay. Are we just? Is this just a case of like one of you grabs one of you grabs other, and set them off at a cross to each other?
We're doing science.
Sure. There's a little bit of like blue sparks sort of erupt from the point at which the two lasery projections cross over each other, and those sparks kind of scatter onto the floor and go dull relatively quickly. That's it.
Brilliant science.
We made sparks.
Wait till the Academy hears about this. That was fun,
Doran
but
Creed on the
useless.
wherewithal of sparks, taking the Academy by storm next year.
Yeah, I suppose I'll start ambling towards one of the other doors then.
Okay, which one? The one with the rotten smell, or the one that looks blasted apart?
Well, I think the rotten smell, because too long have I fled from suspicious smells.
From rotten smells. Okay, that door looks somewhat. It's wooden and it's kind of well carved. It looks a bit fancier than the room would imply. Are you knocking on this one as well? I'm assuming.
Of course.
Of course. Well then. Okay. Let me look at that. Yeah, okay. So you knock on that door and there is no response.
Okay, I will open it and take a look inside.
Okay. Inside, you find you're back again in a kind of like whitish marble environs. The center of the room is occupied by a large white marble table with food remains on it. The table looks and feels like ivory. The food is clearly rotten, but probably was some form of meat. There are several bottles put around as wine bottles should be, but it doesn't look like wine inside. It looks like a clear fluid. There are also some very strange-looking platters and cutlery made of an odd, slightly pearlescent green material. And there are soft white chairs around the table, some of which have food stains on.
Was this the east door or the west door? Sorry.
This was the east door. And there are no other doors out. And the smell in here is horrible.
I'll be having some of that alien cutlery, if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely.
I'll try and anthropologize my way into understanding what one set would look like.
Absolutely. I mean, it does look. It looks like the kind of thing that might be of interest to an adventurous buyer, and maybe not something that's kind of worth a lot. It's more worth what it's worth. It might be worth what it is because of what it is, not what it is made of. Does that make sense? It is a curiosity, so you suspect that by generating a worse version of it, you might take away the appeal of it in some way, but it's up to you.
Oh no, I'll just keep one of these for myself. I just don't want to.
Sure.
Well,
anyone gonna have a go at that rotten food? Yeah, and there's the bottles.
I will sniff the fluid though.
Sure.
What does the fluid smell like?
Salt water.
I will taste a little bit of it.
It's salt water. Oh!
I eat
Oh.
the stuff.
I eat the stuff.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
I ate the stuff.
Well,
You should
Page
not have eaten that
133.
stuff, Chris.
yes. Well, now it is. It is meant to just be salt water in there, but no, fuck it. We're rolling on the I eat the stuff table. That's absolutely what's happening here. So, Doran Creed,
It's finale
give me
day, everyone.
A D100 roll, please.
Oh my lord. 27.
27 as my webcam struggles to focus.
Oh no.
Okay. So I'm going to change this slightly for artistic license purposes, and I'm also going to randomly roll something here. This could be exciting stuff. So there are 4. I'm going to say I am going to roll for the beans as well, because the beans are with you too. So there's 6 individuals in the party other than Doran Creed. So let's see.
What have you drank, Chris?
So 1, 2, Yernak, Grabina, and two beans. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave Mike off it because it feels unfair to do something to an actual. Grabina's fair game as far as I'm fucking concerned. But okay, so that actually is Grabina. Okay, and we have her stats, so that's fine. So let me just roll something. I'm just finding things out, just investigating what's going on. Oh no.
This
So
is the best table.
Can you just tell me, Helroth, and this is the point at which I probably should have had my my cheat sheet up, which I don't actually seem to. Oh God, it's all going wrong.
What do you need?
What I need is rules on damage. So yeah. Okay. Well, you've got the sheet there, so you.
I've got the when an individual takes damage.
Yeah. But you've got Grabina's sheet as well, haven't you?
Oh yes, I do.
Sheets, such as they are in this game. So can you? How much HP does Grabina currently have?
She's got 5.
Okay, that's pretty good. So can you remove that HP for me?
Yeah.
And then, has she got any armor?
No.
No. And then remove 5 from her strength as well.
Gosh. Right.
And then give her a strength save to avoid critical damage.
Sure. That is a fail.
Okay. So
is there I don't know what happens now. Is there a table?
I don't think there is a critical damage table or anything. It's just because I was looking at death, but it just says when when it's reduced to 0 they die. Yeah,
they're unable to take further action until they're tended to by an ally,
yeah.
And have a short rest.
So how much strength does she have left?
11.
Oh, wow. Yeah, she's super strong. So this is fine. Okay. Doran Creed, essentially, here's what happens. You take a swig of this salt water and immediately feel some kind of reaction building up in your abdomen and thinking, this is perfectly normal. I've just taken a massive swig of salt water and clearly, it's shifted some gas and I need to burp. You do burp and it sends out a torrent, a huge, forceful flow of vile seawater, full of bits of sand and chunks of coral, and even half a kind of flapping fish and a couple of octopus tentacles that aren't attached to an octopus anymore, flying through the room, crashing directly into Grabina Gill, who is briefly pinned against the wall like a fucking fire hose has been leveled at her, and then crumples on the ground as you finish with a small burp and a wipe at the unpleasant, mollusky, salty water that's still dripping over your chin. Grabina says, "Ow!"
Oh dear.
Blimey, Doran.
Can I assist either of you?
Yeah, I'll rush over and help Gabina up, apologizing profusely, entirely flustered. I literally did not know I had it in me. In fact, I could assure you, I did not have most of these things in me.
You help Grabina up to her feet, and as you do so, she kind of fixes you with a fairly unhappy glance and says, "You need..." She kind of picks a little crab claw out of the side of her clothes and drops it on the floor. "You need to watch your diet."
God, I'm so sorry. On the side note, however, I am totally putting that bottle of water in my bag.
Sure, yeah. Grabina Gill, she's going to have a little munch of her rations and a drink of some non-salt water. So you can give her a HP back, Stephen, but her strength will remain down at 11 until she can... I think it's a full rest, right? That gives you all your strength back.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. There we go.
Well, if we could learn one thing from today, it's that we probably shouldn't have eaten or drunk the stuff. That's on me. I am a good man. I will learn from my mistakes and will try to resist eating and or drinking the stuff in future.
How do you feel, Doran? Are you feeling okay?
I feel fine. Irrigated, I suppose.
That's good. It makes me happy we didn't sleep in the beds.
Yeah, that could have been.
I'm going to roll a quick thing here to see if someone... Tiva. You can hear a sort of speedy scurrying noise coming towards the room from somewhere outside.
I think
like horrible little scratchy feet on the floor.
Tiva will draw her musket and say, "Do you guys hear that? I think something's coming. It's coming for us."
Oh.
Audible to everyone now is a little unpleasant, reedy voice going, Sorry. I heard the knocking, master, but I thought you were dead. A little figure around maybe 2 foot high comes into view in the next room with the piping on the wall. It is a small, pathetic-looking, rodent-like humanoid, like a kind of shaved, clammy, pale rat in what appears to be like sort of very, very rough servant's clothing that has seen a better day, but nevertheless at some point may have been quite elaborate and nice in kind of purple and red silks. The creature kind of like skids to a halt and kind of stares at you all and goes, Oh.
Afternoon. Shall I?
Hello. It's kind of like
Hello.
kneading at its own little horrible ratty claws while it looks up at you all.
My name's Helroth. How are you? And I have just done and passed a willpower roll for what it's worth, Matt.
Excellent. I am sufficient. I am the helper beast.
Nice to meet you, Sufficient. Who is it that you help?
Well, usually the captain, but not recently on account of the death.
Yeah, people do tend to need less help, don't they, when they've died? Quite a lot of help immediately before, and then afterwards.
My timing on this occasion was slightly off.
How so?
Ah, well.
Well, I should have helped.
Well, we live and learn. Doran here just drank seawater.
It was very fun.
The captain's wine. Oh
It's,
no, you shouldn't have done that. It'll make you ill.
quite violently. It's nice to meet you, Sufficient.
I feel I should clarify, and this is the being doing this, not me. I feel I should clarify. My state is sufficient. My name is not sufficient. My name is Helper Beast. My
Helper
name,
beast.
my role, my
I'm sorry, your
purpose.
name isn't sufficient.
The reason I was forged from various unpleasant substances.
Was to help.
That's right.
Oh, perhaps you could help us. I suppose there are two things that we need help with. I say, looking around at the rest of the party to see if they kind of confirm. Firstly, we're interested in the whereabouts of any items of value around here, if you happen to know of any. And also, we were kind of looking for some form of exit. I don't know if you can help us with either of those things.
I know some things. I'm not sure what might be valuable. The concept is a little bit unusual to me. I have never had anything to call my own.
Okay. Interesting, unusual.
Well,
Well, I suppose there are some unusual things in the captain's chamber.
Ooh, that sounds like exactly the sort of place that we might be interested in.
I say that, and then there's no captain's chamber.
Mr. Beast, sir, you
Go on.
Ooh.
Hello?
It did wound me slightly to hear that you've never had any items of your own. Let me see.
Can I just amend that? He didn't say the captain's chamber. He said the arsenal.
Are you looking for things to give him, Chris?
I am. Can we have a whip round and provide some assistance for Mr. Beast here?
I think Helper Beast would like a broken chair leg.
Is that something you have?
Yes, that's part of that's among my treasure. That's one of the pieces
Wonderful.
that I'm willing to part
Wonderful.
with if he's interested. I may have just armed the rat
Are
person.
are you proffering this to the helper?
Yeah. Would you like to own this thing?
Oh, I suppose.
You don't have to, but it's yours if you
Kind of
want to.
Holding the chair leg in both little horrible hands. Is this it?
Well,
It seems a lot like holding.
Yes, but it is yours now. You can do what you wish with it.
Oh,
That is the concept
Good.
of ownership.
it's a lot like holding.
It can be.
Well,
It can
if
be.
I can do as I wish, that is good. I think I will put it down now because my arms are getting a little tired.
Wonderful.
He puts the chair leg down on the floor.
There we go.
As
Even when
for
it's on the floor, you still
roots,
own it.
I feel like I will leave it there until. Well, I can't anticipate ever needing it, but should that occur, I know exactly where it is.
You're
As
welcome.
I say, there are unusual items in the captain's arsenal, and as far as a route out of here, I can take you exactly where you need to go.
Well, that would be very helpful.
It's a ladder.
That
Oh,
It might be. Yeah. Do you have any grease remover?
I don't think so.
is there any other way out of here other than the ladder?
Existentially, yes.
Well, shall we go and take a look at the arsenal then, if you would be so kind as to guide us?
Of
let's.
course. the horrible little
Also,
creature.
have you met our two friends? Bean.
Dunbean and Beanford, I believe.
Yeah.
The helper beast looks up at them and says,
Yes,
"Oh
I'm
yes,
going to introduce him to Dunbean and Beanford and see if he knows what the hell they are."
oh yes, the messengers. They send messages.
Oh, so that's their job.
To who?
Yes, to anyone really. But since the captain died, there have been less messages."
How did the captain die?
Well, I'm not entirely sure.
How
chat.
long ago did he die?
I have very little concept of time, I'm afraid.
Mhm.
It,
That makes
it, wo-
sense.
it feels like quite a long time ago, though. And I know that because it took quite a long time to get the stains off the walls.
Mm.
It did seem like something quite dynamic occurred here. We found some melted doors, some blasted doors.
Oh, yes, that was
As
part
if-
of it.
Was the ship beset by something that really hits doors?
You know, I never really got to the bottom of it. There was a lot of screaming.
Oh.
But I checked the things that he always said. He always said, "Help a beast. Make sure these things never get loose." And they were all still there.
Oh. So
What?
he was killed by something other than the things which are not supposed to get loose.
I think so. I never did find what killed him. It's probably still around here.
Wonderful.
What
Or
what
maybe not.
what were the things that you checked to make sure that they hadn't escaped? Can you just-
Well, first off, and he's kind of like counting them on his fingers. There's the star leech. That isn't allowed out. And then there's, well, it doesn't have a name, but it's usually sleeping, and that never got out. And then that was both of them.
Okay. And it's very important that they don't get out, is it?
He said to me, "Help a beast. It's of the utmost importance that you make sure those things never get out unless I'm the one letting them loose on someone."
Okay, and he won't be doing that now, will he?
No, he's dead.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, that's good. That's very useful. Thank you.
It's good. It feels good to help again.
You've been very helpful, helper beast. Thank you.
Would you like to see the arsenal now?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He nods and kind of starts tottering off, like scrapping away at his little paws. He leads you. Are you just going to straight up follow him?
Sure.
Sure. Well, he leads you back through the room with like the pipes on the wall and the sort of cutter things, back into that hub room with the white chairs that Helroth dropped down into. And from there, he shows you to the doorway that's at the on the east wall, but further down than the one through from the monstrosity room. And he opens that door, which has the the metal door with the alien symbols on it, and gestures through there and says, "There, the arsenal. I think there's only 3 things left, but the captain always said they were important. Especially," he said, "if any of the 2 things got free."
That's good to know.
I think he might have been running for here when he got killed.
Ah, so the thing that killed him is likely to be nearby then. Well, or
Maybe.
would have been at one time.
But I've been wandering around here for quite a while and I haven't seen anything.
Have you ever seen a glass mantis?
Oh, that thing, yes.
Very ornate. Let's.
Yes.
I'll
One of
take
my
a look.
best friends.
Wonderful. Well, I hope we can be friends as well.
Maybe. I don't feel like I know you too well yet.
Not yet, Helper Beast, but maybe one day. What about the snake? Do you know the snake?
Can I
Go on.
Can I take a look at inside the room with the guns or the? Well, I'm presuming
Sure.
they're guns. They might be very cool swords or
Well,
maybe
in
very
fact,
angry words.
what you have, I'll describe the room first. Obviously, there's a door you came through. There's another corridor leading down to the south, which has a rotten smell coming out of it. And along the north wall of this chamber are 3 large locked steel boxes.
Ah. Do you know where the keys for these are, Helper Beast?
The captain had them. I'm afraid I think they might have been on the bits of him that were at.
Ah, that's unfortunate. Oh, well, I'm sure that we can find a way into these. Where there's a will and or candelabra, there's a way.
Is that the help you required?
I think so. Is there anything else that we... Anybody?
As visitors to this place, what sites would you recommend we take in before we leave?
Oh, I'd say either all of it or none of it, depending on your preference, because the entire thing is a cavalcade of fresh horrors.
That's... Yeah, I think that ties in with our experience.
That's what the captain used to call it. He'd say, "Helper Beast, this is my cavalcade of fresh horrors." And I'd say, "Yes, sir." And he'd say, "Now fuck off."
I mean, it seems like a very good relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
he
impressed.
Was the only person I've ever known.
Apart from the glass mantis, of course.
A glass mantis isn't a person. He'd say, "Helper Beast, that mantis isn't a person, and neither are you."
Well, the captain sounds very wise. I have to agree with him. Like, I've never seen horrors this fresh.
Well, I suppose given that we have seen most of the place, we should continue along the trajectory that takes us to seeing all the place and continue looking around on this level.
Yeah, I think seeing none of it is no longer an option, right?
No, way past that. But
Right.
what about what's in these chests?
I'm
Could
sure
be
we can
helpful.
I would help you to my utmost, but sadly, I don't know what's in them, and I don't think I am capable or competent enough to open it and find out.
I
Understood.
appreciate your self-awareness, Helper Beast.
Well,
So I will look at the locking mechanisms here. I assume they're ridiculously arcane and complex and otherworldly, or are they literally just a
They
tiny
just look
padlock?
bulky. They just look bulky and solid. Honestly, it's like just a big padlock.
I'm gonna
You try giving it a whack with the old candelabra.
I'll give it a shot. I will give it a shot.
Sure. As you are doing this, the helper beast, happy to have helped, kind of starts like toddling off and calls back over his shoulder. "If you need any more help, just call out. And if I'm anywhere within earshot of this vast labyrinthine maze, I'll come just as soon as that." He's carrying on talking. Definitely can't hear it.
thank you.
Doran Creed, give me a strength roll, please. And don't forget, because some of you have definitely taken strength damage at this point.
Oh yeah, I am shook.
Okay.
But I do pass.
Wonderful. Give me a D3 roll, please.
3.
3. So inside of that crate is what looks like, and you're going to love this, Chris, a very large, bulky looking, somewhat ornate and fearsome spear. It's not bronze, though. It's not bronze. It's like made out of a kind of like, probably of steel. It has multiple cruel curved prongs to it, and it looks very, like I say, fearsome and horrible. It is a bulky item, so that's got to be accounted for.
I think I'm going to swap it out for my crystal ball because I'm carrying 2 bulky items, and I think that's getting.
I think 2 is your cap before you start taking issues, right? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think it reduces your strength.
Yeah,
I can't remember now.
Yeah, anybody carrying 3 or more bulky items is reduced to 0 HP. So you still move around. It's just you don't have your HP as like that kind of shield.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay.
And the thing is, I like about this is I don't require intricate backstory for this particular spear because unusualness and uncanniness are part of the system.
Absolutely. And although, if I was handing out another kind of spear where that was required, I'm sure I would literally give it you. And then you'd be perfectly happy with it, with that story that I have explicitly already told you, and then wouldn't bring it up again because you'd just be really happy about that I'd done that.
I love a good hypothetical situation.
Just go watch Simbaroon if you don't understand. Watch it all episodes. Yeah. Sam, Chris has found a spear.
Oh,
and he's immediately used it to try and get a jab at the situation from Simbaroon. So
I was gonna say if he'd asked about the backstory of it yet.
Yeah. Will I try and get one of the other ones?
I don't know. Will you?
It's my question to these two. Helroth, Tiva,
indeed,
others.
I'm going to have a look at one of the safes. I will also point out that Grabina has a hand drill, if that's useful for drilling out locks.
I think it probably is, But let's see if Doran Creed can do it first, and then we'll look at these alternatives.
Let's go strength roll. Oh, it's a fail.
Okay, so the second steel box is a fail. But how about we roll Grabina's either strength or dex to see if she can.
Sure.
And don't forget, she's got that strength damage.
Yeah, let's go with dex in that case. Her dex is 12, and I roll an 18. So no.
And I'd say that's. I think each of you can try once, but I think Grabina's attempts count for Stephen's attempts. I think that's fair because Grabina's your. Can't remember what they're called in this.
Secondary,
but they have a
assistant.
name, assistant or something. Tiva, are you going to try and get this second box open?
Yeah, I think so. I'd probably just try and blast the lock with my musket, I guess.
Yeah, just try and blow it off.
Yeah.
Well then, rather than make a roll, why don't you just roll the damage? How much damage is the musket?
It's a D8.
Okay, why don't you roll a D8 for me?
Okay. I get a 5.
I think that's sufficient. You blow the lock off this second steel box, and can you give me just a D2 roll, please, to see what's inside?
A D2, okay. I roll a 2.
Okay. Inside, very carefully packed amongst a load of straw and hay and a few kind of cushioning blankets, is what appears to be a small globe or globe-like object that is covered with a layer of the iron coral. that reddish, greyish, odd feeling and a generally odd coral that the upper part of this place is constructed from. Embedded within that iron coral is like a little flicky button. It reminds you uncannily of granados and bombs that you have seen, except it's made of fucking coral. So yeah, there's only one of them.
I so want to press this button, but I'm pretty sure it's going to explode.
Ooh, an age clip.
It could be anything, Matt. It's just a ball with a
Sure.
button in it.
In the interest of divvying stuff out amongst the party, Hellroth, does either you or Grabina want to take the first go at this third box?
Yes. Hellroth is like from a pure dice rolling perspective. I think Grabina stands a better chance. I think she's going to try and use the hand drill.
Sure. Give me
Again.
another dex roll then, please.
Sure. That's exactly a 12, which is what her dex is.
Lovely. Well, this one opens up to another bulky item. It's a kind of metal tube with a lot of different kind of devices or odd bits mounted on the side of it. Slung under it is like a kind of handle to hold it. In fact, there's another handle near the front to maybe perhaps aim it. It has a trigger, and it also has a long, very strong-looking leather belt that looks like it's slung, over the shoulder to try and manage the aiming of the thing. It definitely looks like a weapon of some kind, but you really, really don't know exactly what it does.
But some kind of very large bore projectile weapon.
Yeah, it looks like essentially like a small cannon that you with bits on the side that you sling over and aim. It should be said that the rim around the like opening of the cannon-like device is like pitted and scored in a manner not entirely unlike those melted rooms that you went through. It is of course bulky.
Yes. So I was entirely happy to let Grabina, having done the thing, take the treasure. Them's the rules. But in practice, like, she's already carrying two bulky things, so I don't know if she would want a third.
I'm carrying such a lot of stuff already. Hellroth, do you want to take this?
Sure. I'll look after that for you.
For purposes of noting these things down on your sheet, by the way, if you want the names of them.
Yeah.
The spear is the captain's shredding spear. The thing you have found, Tiva, is a coralline bomb. And what you have found, Stephen, is a corrosion cannon.
Corrosion cannon. I guess that's not going to have anything as mundane as a dice size for damage, right? Like, this is just we'll fire it and see what happens.
It does indeed, but it definitely does have a damage thing, but you will find that out when you fire it and not before.
That's fine.
Okay, so folks, we have, I believe, a corridor with a rotten smell to the south, or there is back in the hub. There is another doorway you haven't gone through, and also there is a doorway from the north area that Hellroth was in that you haven't explored. So, what are we doing?
Well, seeing as we're here, should we see what's south?
Absolutely. South is a corridor that leads you to a metal-plated room. The arsenal was also metal-plated, by the way. It has a floor covered with piles of rotten meat. Distinctly apparent within those piles of rotten meat are what suspiciously look like bits of human-like remains.
Have we found the captain?
I think we may have found the bridge crew, perhaps.
The bridge. Like what? Like I didn't want to say it in front of Helper Beast, but I wonder to what extent this is actually a seafaring vessel at all. Was there a bridge crew?
Well,
Or was there just a captain? How many people does it look like might be here, Matt? Just by mass.
I mean, it doesn't look all like people, but you think you see at least 4 distinctive arms,
Okay.
or sets of arms from people. There's at least 4 different humans in amongst all this meat. You think?
Right.
Well, much as I would normally comb for valuables, I feel it's somewhat in bad taste, and also, ew, this place stinks.
Yeah.
Could be dangerous here as well if all this stuff is here.
Absolutely.
Are we moving on? I mean, I'm not.
There's no other exits from this room.
Okay. I think Hellroth's not above rummaging through. Nah, if it's really old and rotten, I think that's probably even Hellroth might not go picking through the meat.
Yeah. So then, are we going back to that hub room and investigating the final doorway, or are we investigating the other room that Hellroth went into that we haven't gone into yet?
So the next door by.
There is a door to the west in the room where Hellroth dropped down, and there is also a door to the west in the room with the pipes and the cutting devices.
Yeah.
That's it.
Should we revisit the room near the cutting devices and just I think that's a pit in there, but I can't quite remember. It's a bit hazy.
Well, do we want to just go straight back there?
That's my vote, says Hellroth.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So you find yourself kind of as you're walking through that room with the pipes and the cutting devices. You're walking towards that blasted doorway, and you hear on the other side of the doorway some kind of like clacking and something essentially metallic, maybe moving around in there, rattling slightly and clacking, and then the sound of silence as you actually approach the doorway itself.
Did you hear that?
I'll kind of look around and maybe make to knock the door, but slightly less. I'm kind of unsure if I want to proceed without the.
Sure.
I mean, you can't assent from the others.
You can't so much knock the door, but you can certainly batten your hand against a bit of it that's embedded into the wall.
It didn't sound good. I think it's a good idea to knock. At least we won't start or whatever that was.
There is no response.
Okay. I will try and open what's left of the door.
Okay. You sort of kick the bits of the door aside, and you find yourself in another one of these sort of more metal paneled rooms, although the metal panels of this one have some kind of brownish red splatter all over them. On the floor is what looks like a steel trapdoor. Someone saw this room in a mirror. And that's all you can see inside.
Tiva's going to stay well clear of this trapdoor.
Are we heading inside the room now?
Yes.
I have no reason not to.
I will cautiously follow Doran in.
Absolutely. So, let me just roll something here. No need to worry about it. It's probably fine. Okay. So, let me just quickly have a look at the old being surprised thing. Yeah, let's do that. Can everyone roll a dexterity save, please?
God damn it! I rolled a 4. My dexterity is 3.
Oh, I failed also.
Yep, I failed too.
Okay. Well then. So let me roll some damage here. That is a 4. So, Doran Creed, how much HP you got?
I have 4 HP, but I have one hour armor.
Okay. Well, then take 3 HP damage as a clawed mechanical golden hand emerges from the wall on the kind of the wall behind you as you're stepping into the room and kind of wraps its big golden claws around you and attempts to kind of like wrench you backwards towards the patch of the wall it emerged from, which has a kind of very thin mesh grate on it around like the part in which the golden arm has come out. It's dragging you back towards this mesh really quite forcefully, and as it does so, you can see that this mesh seems to have a lot of organic matter smushed into the grate of it.
Well, this
There's
isn't
a couple
great.
of bits of clothing dangling from it. Fancy clothing, you know? Such as some kind of, I don't know, some kind of naval officer might have.
I will, if I can steady myself enough to bring my spear to bear on it, I will.
You absolutely can. And why don't you give me a damage roll, please?
I don't know how much damage that spear does.
Oh, you don't, do you? I believe it does D8.
Oh, 2.
Does do D8. 2. Okay. You do kind of swing that spear around and manage to get one of those odd, cruel hooks into the side, into the base of this this engine arm, and kind of wrench to the side, and you hear something distinctively go clunk in a way that sounds like it's not particularly meant to. And the claws around you kind of like start to spasm, which is quite painful, but not so much that they're actually causing you damage. Helroth or Tiva, who's going next?
I do not mind.
I guess I would be the next in after Doran.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's
Tiva was
fair.
being a bit reticent, right? So
Yeah.
I guess I'll kind of wheel around to watch the scene unfold, but I don't know what I could bring to bear to help, other than sort of wildly firing a musket at the general situation.
I mean, you could do that.
So, I mean, as rule systems go, this one doesn't have a roll to hit. So
no,
theoretically, but
yeah, it's fine. If you want to fire a musket at it, fire a musket at it.
I will try to fire a musket at the claw without accidentally hitting Doran.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think that will ever happen in this game.
Nice.
Other than if it's like a big arm anyway, and like I think what you would probably do is fire it at the base of the arm, not at
the bit that's not got
yeah, exactly.
Doran
I think it's
in
fine.
it.
I think it's fine. Give me a damage roll, please.
There's a D8. That's a 5.
Yep. Your shot penetrates the base of this golden arm. Turns out gold isn't actually a terribly good thing to make mechanical items out of. There is a fizzing sound and a whirring sound, and the mechanical arm goes limp and just kind of like slides back into the hole where it came from, like just kind of. And there's a crunching sound, and the sound may be of lots of bits of kind of heavy gold mechanisms falling down into some kind of like. It sounds like a long way tinkling against the sides of stuff off into the distance somewhere down below. So all you can see now is like this mesh with sort of a hole, a circular hole in it where the arm has come through. And obviously all the bits of horribleness spread across the mesh.
Good.
Great job, Helroth. Are you all right, Doran?
Investigate. I need a moment, but I will be fine.
Look very scary. I guess this is what got the captain.
It would seem so. That means I guess we don't know who the other humans were in the other place, but there have been plenty of adventurers down here, so perhaps. So, this is the pit. I didn't like it very much. We could try and get that trapdoor open. If you want to.
I don't trust it. It says in the name, trapdoor.
Well, but sometimes a trapdoor can lead to the wine cellar.
Sometimes wine cellars have rats and needles in them.
The wine here.
There's another reference.
The wine here has not been kind to us so far.
I think
We'll never know what Chris thinks.
I think we have spent too long running from the unknown, and we should get this door opened.
I take it Doran Creed is about to do that, armed with his candelabra.
I think so. I'm just trying to decide if the spear is more. Am I discarding the candelabra, or not discarding it? But is the spear the new candelabra?
I think it's a very lovely new toy, and you'd be awfully sad if you broke it on a trapdoor.
Candelabra is definitely more of a battering item.
Old faithful.
As we've decided through the course of this adventure.
Does this thing not just open? Like, what sort of trapdoor is it?
You kind of lift it, and it's something on the other side is holding it in place.
Okay. There is a mechanism.
Yeah.
Locked from the inside.
Well, then I think the only other way down would be to follow that arm.
I don't think we'd fit. It looks like others have tried. I will give it. I will give the trapdoor a wrap with the candelabra.
Sure. Good old strength roll.
Yeah, success.
Okay. Now, can you give me a dex roll to avoid falling in?
Bye-bye, everyone.
Yeah. Fortunately for you, it's not a long way down. There is a small room below, about 6 feet deep. So I'll roll a d3 for your damage. But I think you've already had a chance to catch your breath, so you can have your HP back. So in fact, there's no point rolling for your damage because it won't go over your HP. So that's fine. So take 3 HP, which if you'd have a rest again, you'll be fine with. And you land on us in a small bare room that has 2 pipes feeding in to the side of it. One is slowly dripping water, and the other a porridge-like slurry.
I think I found the brig.
Which of you saw yourself drowning in this? Was it Tiva or Grabina?
It was me, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. It's not like pouring in on him, though. It's just like splatting a little bit on the floor.
Be careful down there, Doran. It could flood. You never know.
Well,
is there
someone help me out?
Sure. I take it there's no treasure down there.
There is nothing down there.
I will assume that among our adventuring supplies is a rope somewhere between us.
Yeah, you could probably even reach down and help him up. Honestly,
Okay.
It's not that deep.
I will try to do that.
Yep, that's absolutely fine. You help Doran Creed scramble up out of the pit. That's it.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not a great pit.
Did any gold bits fall off that evil grabbing arm?
No.
Like going to die poor.
You've got those 2 doorknobs. Are we done here?
I think so. I can't imagine much of value will be stored in the brig.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding the whatever tried to kill me.
I definitely don't like it here. Seems dangerous. Let's go back to the other door. Maybe there's something good.
Yep.
Okay, so you head back to that hub room with the chairs and go over to that west doorway. I take it we're knocking on it, Doran Creed. We're not shaken out of our politeness. There is no response from the other side.
Well, then, after the prerequisite pause, I will open the door.
You open the door onto a room with, again, plated by metal. There it is. One wall is covered with large metal tanks that have pipes leading down into the floor from them and blinking lights and gauges at the base of them. The room is otherwise empty, and there is a corridor leading to the south.
I will investigate these items a little closer if there's any kind of...
Sure.
I don't think there's any way to kind of open them up without...
I mean, you could fiddle with those. You could fiddle with those kind of blinking lights and gauges and see what comes of it.
The last time I fiddled with something, I fell down a hole. I think I'll sit this one out.
Okay, that's my turn then.
Fair enough. Helroth, what are you doing?
Fiddling.
Just fiddling.
Yeah.
We're just fiddling.
Yeah.
Okay. How to gauge your fiddling? Let's start with. Let's have a dexterity roll, I think.
Let's. Dex 9. I always forget how bad Hero's stats are. I got a 1.
Got a 1.
Nice.
Yeah. Which I know that's not criticals aren't
Doesn't
a
do
thing in
anything.
this game.
It's just a success.
It feels
There we
good.
go.
Fiddling.
Absolutely. In that case, you don't kind of nudge anything you don't mean to. You don't kind of like press any buttons you don't mean to. But is it safe to say that what Helroth is doing is fairly randomly, with no sense of just fiddling with the thing? So you haven't like hit anything by accident, but neither do you know what you're doing.
I'm trying to ascertain the functionality of this equipment with all the confidence of somebody that reckons they probably are almost an expert in this.
Absolutely. Well, then, I don't think there's any stat that feels appropriate. So why don't you just roll me a d6 and tell me what number you roll?
Sure. Give me a second. 3.
3. You have no clue what this does, and you don't seem to have any impact on the lights or the gauges whatsoever.
I think it's some kind of filtration system.
I mean, do you want to like ask Rabina to have a look at it as well, or one of the others could attempt to have a fiddle with it, or are we leaving it with Helroth?
Figured it out.
Sure.
It's just for filtering water for the, for the
Capital job, Helroth.
Oh,
Good job.
Nothing interesting or treasure worthy. Just standard plumbing, really. Like I've got something quite similar in my house.
Can we get
standard plumbing?
Can we get some water out of it? I'm quite thirsty, really.
You rolled a 3. Why don't you give me I will, make a willpower check to see if you can figure out how to open it up.
Sure, because I've been put on the spot now, haven't I?
Mm-hmm.
Willpower 6. Passed again.
Okay. You do think you know how to open the valves in the system.
All right. Yeah, give me a second. I will attempt to open the valves.
Okay. You open the valves with a big clunk, and there's a sound of rushing fluid, and then a red light starts blinking on the thing. And after a short amount of time, do you remember that kind of weird alien voice you heard over some kind of communication system way up in the top floor of the thing? It starts speaking in a language you don't understand, speaking very fast and very urgently, with, it has to be said, a sort of undercurrent of extreme panic.
I think that's a bad thing, and that maybe we should save the drinks for later. I'm just going to close this now.
There's another clunk. There's still a sound of fluid rushing, There's still a red blinking light, and that alien voice is really starting to sound quite frantic now.
That's fine. It's an automated system.
Does anyone believe him?
I think
Part of these tanks on the wall are starting to sort of shake and vibrate.
Okay. Just to be on the safe
we
side.
Go and double check one of those.
Oh God, we'll never know.
Double check one of those.
Chris, double check
other
one of the
rooms where there's not these things.
Yeah, I think
Sure.
just to be on the safe side, run.
Sure, absolutely. So, why don't you? Can everyone give me a dex roll, please?
I think we have established that we cannot.
Sure.
I failed. I think we've only rolled decks today, and I failed all of them.
Sure, absolutely. In that case, can everyone please give me a D3 roll rather than a higher roll?
3.
1, 3,
3.
3. Okay. So, yes. Okay. You basically start scarpering the way you came into this room. Doran Creed, on your way out of that kind of hub room with the chute and the dripping bubbles, you actually skid and slip on those dripping bubbles and find yourself planted face first onto the marble floor and are desperately trying to get back to your feet in a flurry of sort of slapstick motions of your hands and arms. The other two of you manage to carry on running. You don't notice that Doran Creed has toppled to the floor behind you, and you scurry all the way through the room with the pipes and into the room with the captain's table, where perhaps you throw yourself under that the marble surface of it. And therefore, when the fuel tanks detonate, you definitely take less damage than Doran Creed. So let's start with Helroth and Tiva. Can you roll? I'll roll the damage for you. I think that's only fair. Or do you want to roll them?
No, be my guest.
Yeah.
Be your guest. Okay. So Helroth, you take 1 damage. Now that is anti-justice right there.
That said, Helroth hasn't had a rest since his going down the foamy chute, so he has no HP. So that is coming straight off the strength.
Fair enough. And Tiva, you also take 1 damage. The captain's table doing a lot of work there.
I have failed my strength roll, by the way, and picked up critical damage from my 1 damage.
I think you bumped your head on the underside of the table and are now sprawled on the floor like, ow! Yeah. Meanwhile, Doran Creed, you, my friend, are going to take, oh my God, 1 damage.
Just get in!
Esports! 3 ones in a row on 2d6s and a d10. So I'm going to say maybe being cushioned by all that foam has somehow helped you. And the detonation, blew, your ears are ringing horribly, and it sent you skidding along the wall into those chairs that were in that hub room, and you're kind of sprawling among the wooden wreckage of them. There is, as you come to your senses, Doran Creed, the entire iron coral complex feels like it's vibrating around you, and there's a very definite sense of sinkage. There's also a lot of seawater pouring out of the corridor to the room with the fuel tanks, and a number of kind of flopping fish around in that.
I will mutely kind of make my way towards the other room with the others too.
I think you guys can definitely meet up in the room between you, which is the one with the pipes and the cutting things on the walls. Doran Creed can definitely express the fact that the iron coral seems to be sinking.
Yes,
Well-
we should beat a retreat.
Yeah, I think we've seen enough, haven't we?
Let's get to the greasy ladder and hope it's not too greasy.
Yes. Let's do that.
I mean, just as a you know what? We'll let Mike be the GM's voice mouthpiece on this one. Yernak looks around and says, "I mean, that water's coming from somewhere."
Swim out? Yeah? Like, we can't be that deep, can we? We're only 3 stories down. We could swim.
But the iron coral you had to go up onto. By your
That's
estimation, you think maybe only this floor is under the water.
We were definitely under the parts of the floor above.
Oh
were definitely
yeah, on the
underwater
top
because
floor,
there
you had
were sort
the
of
viewing
vistas.
thing. Yeah. All right, so I'm full of shit.
But if we
Yeah,
think
yeah.
we can swim against the tide of water that's flowing into the coral, that could be a viable way out, and that does avoid the grease and the fish people, which Helroth doesn't know about.
Yeah, I didn't like either of them.
Are you a good swimmer, Gravina?
I don't know. I've never tried.
None of these options are good, but we have to pick one.
Are we at least going to go? I mean, the rumbling is escalating. Are we going to go see what's left of this fuel tank room, or are we just going for the greasy ladder?
Yeah, let's see if there's.
It's not far off your path back anyway,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Let's see
let's
if
have a
there's-
look.
Okay. You emerge into the wreckage of the fuel tank room. The entire wall is just fucking gone, basically. And you can see beyond that to like a thick wall of iron coral, which has been like cracked open in multiple places, and through which seawater is kind of like pouring down. Some of those cracks look to be like really quite wide, and the thickness of the iron coral is maybe like 2 or 3 feet. You think if you stumbled up to it and just like reached through, tried to grab the other side of the coral and just like yanked yourself through, maybe you'd be out there in the water, but you don't know for sure.
I'll give this a go.
Absolutely. All right, Doran Creed, give me a strength check. Or a dexterity check, your choice. But it'll be strength, because it always is. Oh God!
I'm going to call
died.
this dexterity check so I can pass 1 this evening.
Okay.
Oh, so you roll but you
Okay,
rolled a 1.
but I did
you?
pass because there's no way a 1 can fail.
Awesome. Doran Creed, you find yourself like launched out into swirling seawater with bits of iron coral like, you know, in your face and battering away around you. You catch a glimpse of a very confused looking squid. And then before you know it, as you're whirling round, you break the surface, you know, letting out a huge gulp of air and sort of thrash yourself over to the sandy beach where you lie there kind of like, none of this, of course, is known to Helroth or Tiva in any way, other than Doran Creed vanished into the crack.
I'm thinking that Helroth never actually found the ladder, so he does not know any other way out. So
Sure,
I'm doing it. I'm
okay,
going.
strength or dexterity, please.
It's a pass.
It's a pass.
I
More
could
or
have sworn
less-
I was dead at that point.
More or less the same experience happens to you, Helroth. You launch yourself out into the swirling water and tumble over and over and over for what feels like minutes, but is probably seconds. You, for a moment, see your hat, your precious hat, like whirling off into the rushing water, and reach out and just grasp the feather in it and desperately get it and clutch it against yourself as you are turned over and over before being spat out by an unhappy sea onto the shoreline next to Doran Creed. Tiva, strength or dexterity, or are you going for the greasy ladder? Because all you've done is see 2 of your friends vanish into rushing water.
I'm planning to swim, but first I'm gonna turn to see Dunbean. Dunbean, can you swim?
Dunbean seems to indicate that Dunbean can indeed swim. And probably he's not really, expressive enough to give over the impression, of course I can swim. You literally found me underwater. Or under a milky fluid substance.
Okay, but I'm getting a yes.
Yeah.
All right, we got.
I like how you didn't bother with Grabina or Yernak.
That'll be fine. They
That'll
can
be
make
fine.
they can make
They'll
their
be fine.
decisions. Dunbean, we gotta swim for it. I'll see you on the surface. Good luck, and I will dive for the hole.
Okay. Give me a strength or a dexterity roll, please.
Okay, I'm gonna try strength, which is 15. I rolled a 2. Yay!
Excellent. You launch yourself into that water, swirl around unpleasantly, certainly to the point where you think you find a small fish in your armpit, and then you're on the beach, gasping and spitting out salt water next to Doran Creed and Helroth Tureen. And we will just do a double check there. You essentially sit there on the shore for a few seconds before Grabina and Yernak both gasp their way to the surface, followed by 2 beans that kind of rise above the surface of the water and bob around a bit before floating over. All of you have successfully managed to extricate yourself from the iron coral, which shudders and cracks as it sinks below the waves. You watch it for a few seconds before realizing maybe further up the shore is actually a better way to do this. There's an awful lot of water swamping you as you're kind of like laying on the shoreline there. You back off and watch the weird, odd place, whatever the captain was, whatever the purpose of it was. You suspect it may never be known as it vanishes beneath the murky waves. And that's the end of the iron coral, figuratively and literally. There we go. That's our Into the Odd storyline, folks. If you've got any questions or comments, please throw them in the chat and we'll pop them up to talk about. I'll get the promo out of the way, and I suspect we'll be talking a bit because we'll like to talk about the story and the system and stuff like that. So below, there's a bunch of links. There are links to YouTube and Twitch. You're watching on one, check out the other. Links to Discord, to Patreon, to social media. Check out those things if you're interested. We run 3 weekly games at the moment. Mondays is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Wednesdays has been Into the Odd and will be back to Simbaroom. I'm not sure if that's next week or the week after, but it is coming soon, and we will be going straight back into the next part of Throne of Thorns, the Witch Hammer. So that will be fun and definitely not dark and horrible at all. We're also currently running a World of Darkness anthology series called Cincinnati Chronicles. That has been on Thursdays, but it's moving to Tuesdays for this final arc, starting this Tuesday with Changeling the Dreaming. Please do delve into that. Someone watch it. It's kind of my magnum opus, and no one gives a shit. But I'm not bitter. So no, it is really good. And do check it out on YouTube if it sounds good to you. We also do one-shots monthly, the last of which was Absurdia, which is a lovely little absurd modern fantasy indie TTRPG. That's going up on YouTube at the moment. And the next one, during August sometime, will be Night of the Hogmen, which is, it has to be said, a very Matt thing to run, because it's a lovely, nasty little sort of Regency-ish horror thing that's going to be a lot of fun. So keep an eye out for that. And with that, let's start looking at comments and stuff. Oh, you lovely people. Someone's been starring stuff. Thank you so much.
You give me admin privileges back.
Wonderful. That's very, 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 very helpful of you. Thank you. We will talk a bit about the system. Let's cover the questions first, because they might cover the same ground we're going to do. Don't Kick Food. Good to see you. Very excited to be able to follow along with the adventure in my copy of the book. Yes, my copy of Into the Odd arrived recently as well. I probably should wave it around for this. Shall I go get it? I'll go get it.
Yeah, I think you should go
wave it
for
around
the occasion.
Yeah. Just for fun. entertain them in my absence. Yeah.
Hold music, is it? Oh, actually, we'll get DMCA for that. Yeah. No. Can't. It must be copyright free.
That's also melody free.
Shut up.
I'm
doing my best.
I like the implication that Matt said that we're all going to have a bit of a chat about the system. Like we didn't spend 2 hours doing that.
Yeah,
last
that
week.
is true.
That's a great point.
We should plug that on this. We should plug that on this. In fact, let's do that now. So last week we didn't have an Into the Odd session. Instead, these three reprobates, discussed Into the Odd and Simbroom differences, commonalities, nuances, narrative, systems, mechanics, and all that kind of stuff. That is on YouTube now, so you can go check it out. Our roundtable stuff is pretty popular, so evidently we're doing something right with them. It's probably that they tell me I can't do them. So that's probably it. Into the Odd. Look at this lovely book. Look at this delightful book.
So nice.
I've got a
They
real
just
love.
never miss. Stockholm Cartel and Free League just do not miss.
They don't miss. They don't miss. Although I should point out this, rather than Stockholm Cartel, this is Bastionland Press.
Of
but
course,
also published by Free League. But the art is by Johan Noor, who is the artist for Stockholm Cartel. So
just wonderful.
Yeah, it's really nice. I've got a real love, and we talked about this on the Discord earlier today. So join it if this kind of discussion interests you. We were talking about Forbidden Lands and like the size of those books being feeling kind of like retro 80s-ish, like an odd little like a smaller hardback. And Into the Odd is like, very similar to that. And it's lovely. A lovely little tome. So, yes, there we go. Steve, if you're upset at no Mike being present tonight, why not try botching your own rolls at home?
Harsh, but very fair.
Very harsh, but fair. But as was said earlier, we miss Mike very much. So I hope he can return soon. More from Steve here. I'm beginning to wonder whether the heat in this region over the last few days has addled our minds. I mean, with Into the Odd being what it is, would you notice the difference?
Yeah, I think it started out pretty addled, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And also a note there, yes, before I forget, thank you for your resubscribe, Lord Malice. 9 months. We do appreciate it.
Nice.
Good friend of the channel. Stephen, we found the buffet. The rotten meat buffet.
I mean, at least I kept it to the chat rather than just like...
I appreciate that.
Drop that reference bomb on the stream.
Absolutely. Who would do that? Who would drop references to other games on some kind of terrible GM? So there we go. Steve have the Skaven escape from the Monday sessions. See, I purposely didn't give the Helper Beast a Skaven voice because I'm aware of the Skaven in the Monday sessions. Although I'll have you know my Skaven voice is the bomb.
I don't think any Skaven wouldn't be that friendly.
No. They would not.
I think it's good to tie these things together into a single coherent. The telling tales of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing bad ever comes of just melding all that stuff together into one continuous.
Sure.
So, Lord Malice, a crystal mantis would be an enjoyable enemy for the treasure hunters of Davokar to face off against as well. I agree.
Enjoyable is very generous.
Yeah. Don't Kick Food said boss fight with the golden metal arm. I mean, yeah, it was. I tell you what, it was pretty dangerous. Do you want me to read out the rules for it though? Because it is very dangerous.
Yeah.
So D8 claw, which is fair damage. Anyone suffering critical damage is dragged into the surface and shredded to bits on the way.
Damn.
Ooh, that sounds like
it can be a one-hit kill, easy. So there we go.
Grim. How did we all survive this?
I don't know.
I was gonna say.
I think the way we survived was just by not interacting with like 70% of the actual puzzles.
I feel like we interacted with nearly all of them, and we still survived. What did we not interact with?
I would say you didn't fight any of the big bads.
That's true.
Like the monstrosity and the star grub. You didn't, or star leech or whatever it is. You didn't decide to free those or fight them or anything. I will admit, like the sea serpent, you're kind of meant to fight that, but I used it to do the moment with Munford instead. So that could have been quite dangerous. But I mean, there's still plenty of ways you could have died for sure. So yeah. Doran Two Knobs Creed, says Steve. There's multiple doorknobs.
Coming soon to Blades in the Dark.
Yes.
It's a great idea, actually.
Don't Kick Food mourns the inevitable deaths of Helper Beast and Shellman. I mean, we view Shellman with a lot of fondness, but let's not forget he was trying to lure you into a chute that was near a room that had an awful lot of cut-up dead bodies in it.
You would have to be some kind of idiot to fall for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Shoot
Steve,
for the moon, yeah?
Yeah. It's not a proper adventure until you destroy the whole site at the end. Absolutely. 42, Poltroon cameo was fun. What, Helper Beast? Was he like Poltroon? Who was like Poltroon? Inquiring Minds.
Yeah, Helper Beast.
Yeah, Helper Beast. Sure, yeah. But Helper Beast never inevitably. Well, let's not talk about this. What Poltroon is like. Instead, go watch our Mort Borg one shots. For possibly my favorite NPC in Telling Tales history. Don't Kick Food. Didn't sleep in the beds. Do you want to know what the beds do?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely want to know what the beds do.
They do. There's 3 things about your experience of sleeping in the beds. Number 1, you get a full rest. Number 2, that happens in 5 seconds.
Ooh.
Number 3, you dream a vision of another random room on this floor. So they're pretty good.
That's like comparatively tame.
You get a full heal.
Yeah, no, I mean
That's
like,
not bad.
I was
That's
expecting something far worse.
That is one thing we definitely didn't interact with, but it wouldn't have killed us. So,
No. John says Poltroon is a loyal servant and confidant. Of course he is. Of course he is. Probably most of the other players. I don't think anyone else has watched fucking Mort Borg. So
I've watched a little bit. I don't think I'm aware of Poltroon, but I don't know the full story of Poltroon.
It's done pretty well. It's one of our most beloved. It got voted up for a sequel.
It did. The first one was quite popular. The second one, not so much. People haven't seemed to follow it through, even though I think it's really good. It's really fun, I thought. But there we go. There's, if you want a taste of Mort Borg, although it's maybe not illustrative because it's a very funny moment in what can be quite a dark and bleak game in an entertaining kind of way. Watch the highlight on our current YouTube, which I think is the funniest moment we've ever had in Telling Tales history. And that's not to do down people here and the fun we've had, but
this was the plan with the rats, right?
Yeah, which it had literally everyone on the stream corpsing, which is it's really, really.
It was very special.
I've literally rewatched it back about 10 times, and I'm in it. And the first few times I rewatched it back, I was crying, laughing again. So, yeah. There we go. Thank you. Yes, Steve's posted it in the chat. But yeah, there we go. I think that's all the comments and questions, unless anyone has more. But yeah, Into the Odd, folks. You've already discussed it for 2 hours, but but I haven't watched that. So what did you think?
Yeah, it's fine, basically.
It's all right. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's grand. It's not really all that much like Symbaroum.
No, it's got D20s in it. I like, yeah. Go watch the other video for more in depth stuff. But I would, I would say it's been a really nice sort of palette cleanser from Symbaroum.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It has been nice to go full Python for a short spell.
Yeah. No, I get that. And it's been good to like exercise those kind of like ludicrous comedic / weird muscles. I definitely saw like there was a discussion going on in the Discord, which I presume came from the stream you did, which about how Into the Odd is much more of a beer and pretzels game. And that's interesting. And it did make me think about what actually is beer and pretzels and like what, because even now, if you'd said to me, oh, do you think what you've run with Into the Odd is a beer and pretzels game? I'd say no. but that's probably just my own bias.
I think actually on the thing we described it as a prosecco and hummus game rather than being
You did.
Sure.
I don't know what that means. Like, yeah, I suppose for some definition of beer and pretzels, I guess we're talking about a role play game which favors, like having fun and kind of being amused over like deep kind of role play or character progression or
and you're probably right in that this is to me, beer and pretzels games don't necessarily attempt to build that like don't put any focus on like atmosphere or like world building or anything like that, whereas I feel this does quite a bit.
This doesn't fit the mold in that regard, and there definitely is an atmosphere in this, but it's certainly a lot less thick and oppressive than something like Symbaroum, right?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. It's
much more playful.
Yes, definitely, and you're probably right. It probably does fall into that that sort of thing. It's just I have a natural bias against that because of my D&D phobia sort of thing. But I think it is. I think you could do a lot of things with Into the Odd, especially if you did like a long campaign of it. There's all sorts of elements to it that we didn't even go into, like how you can start businesses and have your own private armies and weird stuff like that in it. But we
did in the long machine. We did sort of wonder like how it would change the game if you were playing a longer campaign, because I don't think any of us really cared if our characters died, or not that we didn't care, but like that, we accept that as part of the game. But to play a long campaign with that kind of stuff going on, like you're building up your characters like merchant empire and armies and things, it must be quite different in some ways, at the very least, just in terms of like how reckless you're willing to be with trying random stuff that you find.
Absolutely. And I do think like kind of linked to that is as Steve has said in the chat, someone did say playful here, I think Stephen or Chris, but Steve says there playful is a great description there, and I think that's great. That's very apt from a GM's point of view as well, because really a lot of the description and the stuff that's on the page in Iron Coral has been very bare bones, and I've been trying to improvise or pre-improvise kind of like links between it to create a kind of narrative sense in it. So an example of this, there's no information in the book about the captain or what's happened to the captain or anything. The captain isn't in the book, other than there's the captain's table is the name of one of the rooms, and the captain's spear is that's literally the only mention of the captain. Everything to do with the helper beast is just the description is a random encounter, offers to help, but most tasks are beyond their capability or bravery, and says they're a small, pathetic, rodent-like humanoid who gives stats. That's it. The engine arm is also a randomized encounter. The room with the trapdoor is described as a panic room.
Okay.
Oh,
so basically,
porridge.
Just through the randomization of finding the helper near the captain's room and rolling the golden arm in the panic room, there's now a narrative that for whatever reason, the captain in the panic room either fucked up or something, and the golden arm grabbed him and smushed him into the wall. The help, like all that, and that's all just completely random. Essentially,
I meant to ask. Is there anything? Did we miss any capabilities or avenues of friendship for Mumford Dunbean and chums?
No. The messenger nest. There's almost nothing in Iron Coral is linked in any way. It's all very random. So like this, Don't Kick Food says how it gets stitched together from randomness. Yeah, and that might not happen with certain groups or certain referees or whatever. But you know me, I like to stitch things together, and a lot of it is so evocative that it becomes quite easy to do that because you could just come up with these notions quite naturally, which is nice.
Did we miss anything interesting in the throne room with the like lions?
Yeah, so none of you ever tried to wear the crown?
No.
That seemed like a bad idea, but
Basically,
seemed
the
like a bad
glass
idea.
lions obey anybody wearing the crown, but they do not allow them to leave the room. And the reason why the purple lion is wearing a crown on the tapestry is because the lion with the purple gem will betray the wearer of the crown at the first opportunity.
Oh,
Wow.
So you could have had a little psychodrama go on in that room, but we never kind of went into that. So
that's cool.
yeah,
we didn't work out what the Arcana did either. That's a great point.
No, not really. And I think like it's possible that Chris's Arcana might have triggered at some point, but I forgot to know. Did you ever touch a dead body, Chris, after gaining the Arcana? I don't think you did.
In the game, I hope you mean.
Yeah.
No, I think I did not.
Yeah, then that is what triggers it. And the violet carapace that Tiva has as well now. Tiva never suffered critical damage, right?
No.
So, yeah, that didn't trigger either. But yeah, that second floor you missed quite a bit on. Well, not that much, actually. But, bits and pieces. I'm not sure you missed any, like, Arcana or anything like that. No, not really.
I think we would have explored it all, barring the fish people arriving to.
Oh, no, you did miss an Arcana. Called the Star Skull.
Star Skull. There was
You
a whole
missed-
room that we couldn't get into because we were all murderous bastards.
Yep. That had an Arcana in it as well, called the... give me a second. Called the Life Hand, as opposed to Doran Creed's Death Hand.
What if you high five with them?
The power of two hands combined. Yeah, absolutely. There we go, folks. There we go. Thank you for watching Into the Odd. We have enjoyed it. We hope you did too. And as I say, either next week or the week after, we should be back with Simbroom, the Witch Hammer. I don't know if it'll, any of you who've read the Witch Hammer, I think I'm giving it a slightly more protracted opening than it has in the thing. So if it opens and you're like, this isn't the Witch Hammer, don't be worried. It's just me fucking around. So there we go. Yeah, thank you to my excellent players as always. Thank you to Mike as well. And we will see you soon. Goodbye.